Marvelous. So I had to mute my laptop. So as I said, we're looking at placement options, special opportunities, those out-of-school opportunities, and looking at documentation, if we get to that, of services and how you're doing that. So those are our objectives for today and what we will try to address. And when you start thinking about your program services, I like to always take you back to the state goal for Gifted and Talented, which is to ensure that we are allowing our students to demonstrate their skills in self-directed learning, thinking, research, and communication. So how they're doing, what are they learning? How are they having opportunities to do independent learning, and thinking, and then research and communicating what they know. What is their knowledge, skills, how we're doing that? And that is evidenced by the development of innovative products and performances that reflect their individuality and creativity, that is an advance in relation to students of similar age, experience, or environment. And I want to also say that advance in relation to students of similar age, experience, or environment is what gets some people caught up when you start looking at, especially if you're doing program services in the regular classroom. You may be doing a lot of things that are similar in the same programs and the same services, but how is it an advance beyond, other than the student just being advanced in their own mind skill, but what are we doing as educators to make sure that their services are more advanced for their age, their experience in their environment? Because I think that's one of the hard parts that people find a little bit difficult, because especially in our smaller school districts where everyone's in those programs and those services, what are we looking, they're showing their work and they're showing their ability to go beyond, but what are we saying is that advanced piece when they're in that regular classroom to say that's how we're meeting their needs. So, and then all of our graduates, high school graduates, at the end of this program and services have produced a product or performance of professional quality. And you as a local district have to determine what is that professional quality, what does that look like, and how does your services become a part of a roll down of how does, when they graduate in high school, how does that look? In kindergarten, what are we looking for in kindergarten, at third grade, at fifth grade, at eighth grade, going into high school? What does that look like? What products are we looking at? What performances are we looking at? How do all of this build, especially since we are a core content emphasis, what does that look like? So as you know, when you think about your service design, what types of services should be designed based on your types of service should be designed on your needs assessment. So you're looking at what are your students needing? How are you serving them? And then looking at the program goals and then your campus arrangements. Is it feasible to have a pull-out? Is it feasible for a teacher to go in? Is it more feasible for you to have cluster grouping within the regular content, or it's differentiated instruction because you have that that population is not as large in your district compared to others? Or are you looking at, we need to have a school within a school or a separate campus, and then still providing services at the regular campuses for our students? So you got to think about what is your needs, how is your community growing, what is your community expectations of your program services, and then what is your infrastructure to provide these kind of services to our students as we go forward. So looking at those pieces. So let's get into moving slow today. The rain is holding us up. All right, so part of our service design is looking at what is a viable service of options. What are you looking at for your service programs? And some of you have been living with the same program for the last 30 years, some for the last 50 years. some for, 10 years. Are you looking? I know a lot of you are at this point now. If you stay planners, look at it. We got open conversations. You're looking at how can you improve services, change services, how can you actually meet your students' needs, and looking at that. And so we're looking how, everyone has to, kind of structure their services to meet their community needs. But, were you looking to take it to the next level, to the next infrastructure, to the next point? What is you looking for in your own program services to say, yes, we are totally offering a full gamut of services for all of our students, but especially our GT students have options that are beyond, that we're meeting all of their needs. So it starts with leadership. And we incorporated with the state plan this time around, and we moved some things around, but that person who's in charge, and, a lot of times, we all know everyone gets, extra duty, extra program, you get moved around, you get reshuffled. So we're asking that people who have their 30 hours of professional gifted and talented, and their annual 6-hour update is assigned to a coordinator district level of services. So we're asking that coordinators, that you're walking in knowing what's going on in your with the program, or if not knowing, at least getting the training. And then also, if you do not getting the training, having that ready to roll, but then also looking at, for those who have an endorsement, the supplemental certificate, or an advanced degree in gifted and talented education. I know a lot of you have those things for either to be in accountable to the state plan, or looking at being exemplary. And it's not a difficult thing. If this is what you're expecting your teachers and your counselors to have, you should have it also, especially if I know a lot of you are turning over your own trainings, your own materials. But if you have no knowledge of what is being looked for, how can you communicate that to others? So just make sure you got your training. I think we've been doing this for probably since being required with training since about 1996, 94. So it's a doable thing. So I just wanted to do a high level look at the program codes this year that we put out. We will soon be able to communicate what this looks like. So hopefully at leadership, at Texas Association for Gifted and Talented Leadership Conference, I can give you a breakdown on what we look like as a state for these different programs and who's providing these services. But we're going to go ahead and get into talking about these. So one is pull out, and I know in the one of the things in the district I came from, this was the main service provider for our elementary campuses, and a lot of you are doing this during your in your elementary programs, and there are some who do it at the secondary level. I'm actually going to get to see see that in action. So you're scheduling your GT class outside the regular classroom. So you're pulling students out and you're taking them out and to do core curriculum support, do some instructional grouping with those students, and you're doing your advanced products and performances. As we talk about this and move forward, make sure you're doing, if you're doing a pull-out program, you also should have your lesson plans, your structures when you're having your sheets of when students are coming to you for classes, going on your schedule, and you should be also doing attendance. And if you're not doing your own kind of grade reporting, some kind of way that people know that they are progressing in your program services. So what are you doing to ensure that people know, yay, we are moving, we're doing great jobs. This is how we're looking at academic success in the pull-out program. And then we'll get into the push-in. So you got a schedule coordinator or a GT teacher going in, and they're doing, working with those campus teachers to do instructional support. So either they're differentiating the core curriculum or helping with the lesson plan development, but they're working with teachers and students to do above and beyond, and also continually we're doing those advanced products and performances. That might be when they come in and do a little cluster assignment. I know it varies from district to district on how you're doing that, and then making sure that things are working, and that should be scheduled and letting people know this is when you're going in, this is how many students you're seeing. As we move forward, I think one of the things we really need to work on as a group is how we're documenting our services and the services that we're providing and what we're doing. So you remember, your action, your work needs to be validated and confirmed. And as we move into how we're ensuring that our program services are going out and people are looking more at what we're doing, that will help you in that process of saying, this is who, I met with this teacher, I work with 5 of her students, this is how their services have looked over the year. So when people are asking, how are we knowing our GT students are performing and moving forward, we have our documentation, we have our notes into that process. Full-time gifted only. I know some of you have only GT, you have structured classes which allow you to have GT classes. A teacher dedicated to teaching GT students for the full-time. High school, maybe you got a whole class. Elementary, you got a whole little section. You're moving them together. So you're looking at all of those students that are working during the day, doing their individualized instruction, because sometimes those teachers are allowable or more amenable to able to, if this kid is working 6th grade math and this kid over next year is doing 8th grade math, they're working that system. Then you have some we're all moving at a faster pace. So that's going into that. So that allows for that change there. And this one is one of those probably that's more allowable for documentation because you have an entire class, one teacher dedicated to doing all of the program services as we go forward. And then we have our full-time inclusion. And so these are those classes where you have those mixed student classes, which you have your GT and your non-identified students into the same program, or your teachers should be differentiating their instruction. That is one area where I'm going to start at. You really need to think, how are they differentiating their instruction? What are you asking of them? How are you asking them to document that? And then working with your administrators to say, this is what we should be seeing. This is what you should be seeing when those administrators go in to do their evaluations, to go in and do their visits. What are they expected to see? This one is also where you probably have a little more feasibility in moving accelerated students into those different grade level classes, especially if you've got 3rd and 4th graders moving up to 5th, 6th grade math, or science or social studies who are moving faster and beyond. So full-time inclusion, differentiated instruction, make sure you got some kind of documentation. Something should be noted in their lesson plans, should be seeing something different in their grading and their assignments, looking at what are they doing differently compared to the regular student. So make sure those are communicated. And then I know a lot of you have those special day schools. So it's a full-time enrollment, specifically engineered for your gifted and talented students to go there. Some of your schools within schools, some of you are on your own campuses. It matters not, as long as you're providing services, it's full-time enrollment. You get all of your teachers pretty much at this point know they have their 30 hours, they're moving to that, and some of you are really working on an accelerated core curriculum. So you're really moving at a different pace to provide students at a higher level across the board, structure of instruction. And as you look at your array of learning opportunities and thinking about what you're putting out there, when you look at that array, and we're in GT looking at the core content, especially what a lot of you do in general intellect as your assessment, because your assessment and your service opportunities should roll hand in hand. If you're looking how are you serving your students in English language arts, math, science, social studies, what are they doing, how they're putting it out. A lot of you are doing interdisciplinary study activities, and a lot of our TPSP tasks are based on that. A lot of your curriculum is based on some of those things that can be conducive to that. But when we look at what are your program service options, this is where we start. We start with our English, math, and science, and it's during the school day as well the entire school year. And so you're to provide your parents. So, you might have some of those principles that you have to remind them that, especially if you have a pullout or a push in, that these teachers are to provide services the entire school year. And they are to provide them compared to using our program services, looking at your curricular needs, and not to be your permanent sub or your temporary sub or your tax, your star. See, I'm dating myself, I said tax. Your star, coordinator for test preparation. I'm gonna leave that one alone. And then you have your special opportunities. So information, and then for those who did not realize, I did good this time. This PowerPoint is already out on the website. So if you got the link, you probably saw the presentation underneath. So if you want the PowerPoint to roll with me, it is there. So the other one is looking at special opportunities. So a lot of you are, you do different contests, you have different, areas of academic recognition. I'm not sure a lot of summer camps. There are a few, and I think I can't think. Texas I just lost my mind. But I usually send it out in the listserv. They have a nice summer camp, and they have scholarships for it. And I can't think of their name. That is so sad. And then volunteer opportunities. A lot of you are doing those things within your districts, and your parents should be knowing about this. So as we've been talking about our parent communication and what those pieces are, this is why we have a lot of pieces in our state plan that says this information should be available and disseminated to parents. But we've never actually talked about how we do that. And so that's one of our charges to get that a little cleaner. Let's talk about how we communicate that. And so, a couple of my sessions will be talking about how do we tell our parents what these activities are available in our district. So I just put a few up here that I know that are available within our state. I know a lot do UIL. I know a lot you think that or use UIL as their core curriculum, but UIL is very good. Your academic programs are a great opportunity. I was the UIL coach when I was in the district, but UIL is not full-time, all the time, should not be your curriculum for GT services. I'm just gonna put it down. It can be a supplemental piece, it can be an included piece, but you should be thinking, what else are you doing? Because, a lot of pieces of it is really just there's some skills and certain things in there, but it's open to all students. And I want you to remember, open to all students means that anyone can walk in, no matter what skill or ability, but what are you doing to make it an advanced activity to get them to that point? And so if you're using your GT program as a competition place, what else are you doing and how is it being innovative? One thing I did not put on here, just thought about it. Destination Imagination, and then it used to be Odyssey of the Mind. I know a lot of you do those things. So how are you incorporating that, but then also making sure that we're meeting our state goal, and then also remembering that we have those array of learning opportunities based in the 4 core. So then we'll go into your organization. And with organization is looking at how you're looking at your program services from kinder to 12th grade. What does it look like? How are you building up your program services to get students into those advanced courses? And then when they're getting to those advanced courses, are they truly advanced, or are they more, it's higher level work, but not necessary, or harder work, but not necessarily advanced, and looking at that innovative aspect of what our students can do. So when you think about, is it comprehensive, structured, sequence, and appropriately challenging? What are you doing to make sure that is happening in those 4 curricular areas? You know, I know do a lot for your math students. I know do a lot for your science students, because, you know, with the STEM and the STEAM movement, a lot are moving there, but we still have our students who are in English language arts and who are our history buffs and likes to know about social sciences and things. What are we doing to make sure all of those are working together? And then as you move forward, if you're really accelerating, and I know a lot of districts have already figured out, because if they're doing Algebra 1 in 8th grade, what are they doing in 7th? How are you either compacting that curriculum, differentiating that instruction? How are you building up to students taking Algebra 1 or geometry at an early age, and putting those structures in place that, yes, these are, when our students get there, 4th graders are doing 4th grade, 5th grade math, there's pieces of 5th, 6th, you know, and as they move forward, all of those work, and it's a sequence. It's easy for, if a student transfers in, to fall into our sequence. It's structured, it's moving together. Everyone knows this is how our process works. This is what the challenges we're looking for at this grade level. And it's beyond just knowing that kindergartners are looking at animals and doing innovative products with animals, and then we've got 1st graders doing, you know, gardening. What are we looking at? What is our structure? It's more than we have a thematic unit. So in our curriculum, and then looking at the curriculum, and hopefully that's our next point of conversation. Hopefully you're moving to looking at what is in your curriculum, what is in that 8th grade pre-AP curriculum that's not pre-AP anymore. Well, that will not be pre-AP starting next year, but you have to come up with a name. But what's in that advanced or that GT 8th grade science class or social studies class that is challenging for your students? What is it looking at differently? Are you having, you know, these are the pieces, or teachers just relying on what's in the textbook? And do you have a scope and sequence that follows along with the district scope and sequence for the regular content that says this is how we're looking to advance that, to make it more challenging for our GT students? And then looking at arts, leadership, creativity, and career and technical education. I know a lot of you have things that is already kind of in line for your arts programs. You're looking at your leadership and your creativity. Career and technology is the newest one coming on in phases. As you think about this and you think about your services, and then you have these options, if you're looking at these options, also remember these students have to be identified at some point in time. You can't just say, well, they're in horticulture, and because they can do a beautiful centerpiece, that is an advanced product. That's part of the expectations of students in horticulture and working on those products.
Okay.
So what does that make that? What is their advanced products performances looking different compared to the other students in that program and those services? And then how are they getting in those, because they can choose that. But if they're choosing this as a part of their DT services, are you working with your career and technology people to, let's say, how do we get this to the next level to make sure and get those people, their counterpart, your CT counterparts, trained and give them talented services. So a lot of our kids are going into these services and programs. It's not just robotics, it's not the new one with cybersecurity, but they're going into some other areas. So how we're ensuring that once they go in, if they're going in already identified or we're identifying for these tracks, What are we doing to safeguard our services?
And and
all right, someone has a microphone. I see it, and I'll see if I can mute it.
Well, I mean, I can look at your list.
Got it. Let me check to see if someone else has theirs. Thank you. Okay, I done muted. Is that better? Great. All right, yeah, I muted. All right. Okay. Y'all quiet today. No questions out there in the field. So it is student arrangements. So you allow them to work together as a group, work with other students, and then work independently during the school day, as well as the entire school year as director of your service options. So we're looking at making sure that they can work together in groups of GT students, work with other students, because they do need to know how to socialize and work with other students outside, because once we hit the real career world and college world, they're not always working together. And part of that, with our social and emotional skills, we're helping to build those skills, but then work independently. So, how are you making sure that happens, how you're structuring that during your program services, how you're ensuring things. And sometimes that's where a lot of you are ensuring that they're a part of student council, some other groups, or they're supervised working groups that are within your service plans. So allow them to exhibit their leadership skills and some of their creativity there. And then within the classroom, I know when we talk about TPSP, a lot of it is independent work, but there is a piece to it that when you look at phase one, it is group work. And then how do you incorporate those pieces as they move forward? So, and then flexible group patterns and independent investigation. So just ensuring that we allow them the opportunity to work in groups, and we are updating the FAQ, and so we're also updating what cluster grouping looks like and that terminology. Currently, you'll see it is 3 or more. We can consider a group is 3 or more. So when you start looking at your program services and your options, making sure that you have kids can configure together. You can do those multi-age groups as you move about and considering your program services. You just don't have to pull all first graders. You can do a mixture, but also remember, think about the students that you're pulling and how you're grouping them and the skills that you're working on at that point in time. And what your teachers are working on. And then out of school options. So those out of school options that build our students' skills and abilities. A lot of you kind of go back to some of those other ones where we're talking. Some of those out of school options are still going to be your UIL, because you do it after school, your Odyssey of the Mind, your other programs, math counts, some of those things that you do outside of the regular school day that allow students to show their strengths, those clubs, other activities. What are you doing specifically to make sure that our GT students are being, services are being met and their skills are being allowed to be exhibited? Are you encouraging student-led clubs? And some of that you have to put back into the administrator skills, but what are you looking at? How can you build those up? And what are you're encouraging within your districts, or what are your district needs as you look forward, how you're providing what those out-of-school options are. And I would like to hear what some of you have out there that's going on with those out-of-school options and those opportunities for students to learn and to do something different. And then maybe we can all come up with some different options or some things that we may want to do. So that leads us into credit by exam and early high school graduation. So your policy should have something in it that's talk about the consistent, using that are consistent with the State Board of Education rules on credit by examination, and then early high school opportunities. So I put on this slide the links to the credit by examination information from the agency. It is through the Curriculum and Standards Department. As you know, students have the options of the following for credit by exam: College Board, AP exam. As you know, that is only offered once a year. So that is an opportunity. CLEP, which is also through College Board, which is the college level examination program. But then you also have the credit by exam examinations through Texas Tech and the University of Texas at Austin, their high schools, where you can use those credit by exam courses, also tests. Those have been gone through the validation process, and so they do have, and a lot do use UT and Texas Tech as their venue of service for those exams. But if you have further questions or wonderings, I put their email address and their telephone number if you want to call and to get some more further information on those opportunities. While we're at credit by exam, and remember, pretty much we're using credit by exam for that subject area, opportunity to move to either to accelerate or to eliminate a course that a student requires for grade credit. A lot of you also do credit by exam for grade level skipping, grade level acceleration. And so remember, I think that leads us to our next one, acceleration. So, excuse me. So when we look at acceleration and that flexible pacing that is employed, allowing students to learn at the pace and level appropriate for their skills and abilities, and that actively facilitated by district administrators, counselors, and all teachers. So when you look at this, so when you're looking at grade level acceleration, a lot of you do that. Grade level is just strictly what it is. You're moving them up one grade from the next. When you look at this, your district policies may have a little bit more structure than within a time period of a window to happen, for this to happen, where it can happen at various, you have that 4 windows for testing with the credit by exam for grade level acceleration, and you can move forward. Then you have your subject area acceleration, which is only moving up in one grade level subject as you move forward. So you have administrators in your district and on your campuses that are not looking at either option. And we have a lot of students who are moving grade level based, but then we have students who really need more of a subject area acceleration. And when you look at the subject area acceleration, also consider what is your long-term plan. And do not kind of put yourself into a wall of there's no options at the end of the rainbow with the students. So when you're looking at subject area acceleration, look at, if this is an elementary student, how we're going to get them into these high school courses, because typically they're moving at that pace where eventually they're going to be at the high school course, especially if it's at your campus. So if it's the typical ones I'm having right now questions about, 4th graders already doing 6th grade, 7th grade math, getting ready to do 8th grade math, but can't get to the high school or the middle school for this class, and the parents can provide the training, transportation, and then you as the district can provide transportation. What are your options? That's when you start looking at, you got Texas Virtual School Network, you have other core subjects you can, like we're doing Zoom or Skype with one of the teachers at the other campuses. look at your options, look at your plans, start thinking how, if this student needs this, how are we going to meet their needs? Because when you say we can't meet your needs, you're going to put them in a 6th grade class that they've already mastered to do what? And then are you really meeting, it might be easier for you to say this is the best way we can accommodate, but is it really the best option for that student? Is the best method that we can support a child? And I'm going to say no. So start thinking, start working with your administrators. If we have these issues, how do we accelerate this kid, and start looking at what do we do in the following years? They have no transportation. What can we do? Because, how can we assist this child? And then when you start looking at flexible pacing, how are you doing that in your program services? How are you looking at that? And you have to remember, we're looking at multi-tiered services here. A lot of you do RTI and you're doing it at the lower level for those kids who are not mastering skills. But then what are you doing for them? What are you ensuring that these educators, these teachers are doing for our high level kids in these classes to make sure their services are being met? Are we looking at, let's compact the 4th grade math, 4th grade science, 4th grade English language arts, and do 5th grade math also, or 5th grade English language arts in 4th grade? Let's combine some of this. Let's do some, expand out. Let's do a little faster pace in these courses as we move forward. And looking at providing services for our students and making sure that they are getting the best that we have to offer, and ensuring that they are growing. And eventually we really need to start looking as a program and as a service of our student growth. Yes, they may be maxing out at 100%, but how are they growing? What are you looking at other than just a STAR test, just their core, their assignments? Is there growth there? Are they progressing? Are they learning? Or is it just they're the teacher assistant? They're the leader of the independent group. What are they doing to say, this is how we're progressing our GT students? This is what those innovative courses are doing. This is what those advanced products are looking. This is how we can see his or her individual growth in our progress monitoring. So, we talked about progress monitoring, and that's coming up. But so that's where we get to the point where it's actively facilitated. And that's where you have your administrators, your counselors, and teachers. They actually have to be involved in the conversation of, this is what we're looking at. This is how we want to move forward. This is how it's going to happen. And your counselors know these are your options. Your teachers know this is, we got this 3rd grader coming to a 6th grade math class. Who's the best teacher to do that? Who's the best teacher to, what's the best classroom? What structures and support we're doing to make sure this kid is not being harassed, bullied, or being supported. What are we doing to make sure that happens effectively and consistently? And then our other program options, so dual credit, concurrent enrollment, long distance opportunities, and then your accelerated summer programs, if you have that available. So I also put on here the links for the dual credit through TA and their FAQ, and also their phone number and their email. So with dual credit and then your concurrent enrollment, a lot of your high schools and your early college high schools are building into these programs of services. And as you put your students into these programs of services, what are you looking for? Who are those teachers? How is this accelerated? How is this different from what the regular teacher or the regular student is getting? And then you also have to remember, especially with your dual credit, you have control of district employed teachers, but you have no control over the university or the college that you're working teachers. So you have to start thinking of when you're program services and what is not program services. I know for one district, I've spoken with, basically, if it's a district teacher who's providing the dual credit, they will consider that a part of their GT services. But if it's a district, if it is a non-district, so college or the university that's providing the dual credit or the concurrent enrollment, they do not count that as part of their GT services. So you have to have those open discussions and look at those program services. And some of you are also part of that early college high school program of services, talking with those coordinators and seeing if you want all of this to be a part of your program of services, getting that in your MOU of what are your expectations for these GT, these professors at the higher level to provide services. And then so the last one is our exemplary one, and that is having those gifted and talented education plans. I know there are a few districts, and when I really say a very few of you out there who are actually implementing education plans for your GT students, and there are some who are considering it. So that at this point, you're looking at specifically each individual child, as they're going forward. When you're doing your GTS services, you're having ongoing meetings to look at, this is what the kid needs this year, this is what the kid needs next year, looking at those services and building out to make sure that they're being appropriately served in all of their opportunities that you have within your district. And so that is the gifted and education plans. I know some of you are really interested in how we can do this, make sure that I've heard you make it become more uniform across the state. At this point, it's going to be kind of, we still are a local controlled district, local controlled state, so that is district control. But we can look at some parameters on what should be included in these education plans. And that's a good question. So Teresa or Teresa, the only district I do know that probably may have a plan for you, a sample is Louisville ISD, because I know they do independent study plans. But then if you're looking at a state, Florida, and if you go to their Florida Department of Education and then go to the Gifted and Talented, you will see their plans and in their directions on, and I will put a link to that on our website to this. Write that down, Claudia.
Hey, Monica and everyone.
They
This is Paulina with you.
They actually do independent education plans for their GT students.
Monica, can you hear me? Hey, Monica.
So I wanted to also remind people that we have the Gifted and Talented Independent Studies Mentor Seminar class that is available. It is available for state credit. They get 1 credit per course. So if you're looking something to add into your high school option, actually it's designed for 9 through 12, but you can do it at the middle school. They still will get elective credit for that. And these are the 6 skills that sections of, and not essential knowledge and skills. They were actually reauthorized and approved by the state board this last meeting, which was January? So yes, when they had their last meeting. So the course has actually been updated with the college and career readiness standards in some areas. So it's a little bit beefier than it has been in prior years. So this is an option for you to consider. I cannot hear Paulina. So 67%. And let me see if I can. Okay.
Monica, let me know.
Anyone here? So Paulina, and you're not muted. I can't hear you. Let's see if I can turn it
So, well, I think Monica has her speaker. But Fort Bend,
Paulina?
yes. Can you hear me?
If someone can hear it, if you can put in either in the chat.
So Fort Bend is doing these plans.
Or unmute you and we can try it that way.
Fort Bend is doing these plans, and they are unmute. They're doing these plans. They've implemented them this year, and they are doing a session about it at Leadership Conference at the end of this month. So if you're going to be at Leadership Conference at GAGT, or if you don't know about Leadership Conference, we're happening in Sugar Land, Texas, March 29th through the 31st. And registration's still open. So if you haven't registered, do so. But they are, Crystal Wilson with Fort Bend is going to present about the way that they've implemented these plans. So it'll be a really great session. Of course, we've got an entire strand of state plan implementation sessions to cover
so
Monica's doing. So
we
if you have any
have,
questions, let us know. txgifted.org is our website.
Can you hear me? Okay, so Paulina, thank you for those who are assisting. Fort Bend has IEPs, yes. And then they are actually being shared, talking about this at Leadership Conference, and there will be a session provided on this. Marvelous. So hopefully everyone is going to Leadership. We will be talking, so as you see, Paulina has sessions on IEPs, and then there will probably be something on, there may be a conversation still wrapped around acceleration to follow up the one they had at Leadership, not Leadership, but at the state meeting, state conference. Okay, and she provided the link to the Leadership Conference. I put in, because I know a lot of you use this as part of your service options, and it is the Texas Performance Standards Project kind of lands in two places. So you'll see it in part of your service design, and this is part of looking at those programs, those advanced products and services. But a lot of you are using this as your curriculum, so I'm going to leave this one more for our next conversation piece when we do talk about the our program services and looking at curriculum. Okay. So for those who are not following with the chat, so the registration is still open. The link is there. There is a summit. There is 3 hours of additional information and work on implementing the state plans. And we love our chat, so that allows us to make sure we get everything covered. As you know, we are under an interim charge from the Education Committee and our Finance Committee on education related to House Bill 3. That meeting was to be scheduled for tomorrow, but as you know, we are in the world of coronavirus at this moment, and we're working on let's protect our health, protect our safety, and so that meeting has been canceled. But at some point in time, I do know that we will still be asked to provide this information and asked to continue to support and serve. So I'm asking, and I've been asking, and I'm gonna keep asking, I need your innovative programs. What are you doing out there in your districts and your charter schools across the state that is, you know, a little bit above and beyond? What you may think is commonplace might be truly innovative to the rest of the state. So Don't feel free to explain what you're doing, talk about it. If you're not promoting your services, no one else will. So don't tell yourself no to start off with. So I'm gonna say yes. Talk about your programs. And then what would help you to strengthen your programs, promote GT in your community that we could do and talk about from the state level? So provide that information. If you don't want to put it in the chat, shoot me an email to let me know what are you doing, what highlights you have going on, what you think will help strengthen our programs, our services here in the state. And so that we can share that, start thinking about how we can implement those things. And then how are you being impacted? I know a lot of you are still feeling the effect of the repeal of the allotment and that reallocation of that funds into the basic allotment. How's that affected you? How's that affected your programs of services? And be honest in your comments and your statements, because as we compile this and build this out for them, they need to see what's happening so that it can either guide new legislation or changes in the current legislation and rule to support you in the job that you're doing. And if you don't talk about it, we don't know, we can't assist. So tell us up front, this is what's happening. I know from our conversations at the state meeting, state conference, that, some of you are still having that issue of you don't have no money. That's what they believe, your business and finance department. So, those kind of things let us know. But as we move forward, at this point right now, we know truly what is happening and what's going on. And so Paulina has said that they will also send out a form for you all to let us know what your district is doing well. So be looking out for that little that form from your advocacy agent. Tag it, Texas Association for Gifted and Talented, as they send that out, to be looking at that also as they move forward. And she also states the Senate also wants to hear any intended consequences of the bill. So they thought one thing was going to happen, but this is what truly happened in your district. So what happened, what is going on, and how can we help you? So provide that information. You have 2 venues to provide, and you can do it in both realms, and we will go forward. So as I said, this is what we're looking for, the impact, what are your innovative programs, and then your recommendations to strengthen and to promote your services. So if, I know we're about 5 minutes out, but I got time. So I'm looking at Paulina's note, like districts who opt out of GT because of a penalty is too low. So actually our senators and have reached out to TAGT for more information, and so they need your help into sharing your thoughts and your innovations. So provide them with that information, please, so that they can, they're saying they got a direct line, use the direct line, that lifeline is happening. So if someone wants to share, we got about 4 minutes, I'm trying to keep these to an hour, but if you want to go beyond, I'm fine with that. What is happening in your I can't talk today. What is happening in your district? And I gotta fix that. So what do you want to share? And if no one has nothing to share, all right. Any questions out there in the field? Yes, all right, hold on, Holly. I have figured out. Holly, I'm going to unmute Holly. I'll make you a co-host. Yes. All right, Holly, I think you probably can. Can you talk now? Oh, I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
Screen share.
Okay, so this is.
Holly, are you talking?
Yes, tell her I'm talking. This is Irving's service design, and this is what we do in kindergarten. We screen all of our kindergartners. We talked about that, I believe, last time or a couple times ago. And then we do research for discovery. We use the TPSP products for our students from March 1st through the end of the year. In the base, the base are stable. We're building that, but it's differentiated. And then delivery of science and social studies, we use gifted strategies like menus, like projects and things like that. And then 3, 4, and 5 were still self-contained, but now we're accelerating math and ELAR while doing differentiation at social studies and science. Then as they move into middle school, those classes are only GT students. So what we do at 5th grade, and this is kind of like progress monitoring and an individual education plan, is all of those students who've been receiving services, whether they're actually coded GT or not, we go ahead and we look at their math scores, we look at their portfolio activities, and then if we need to, we go ahead and give them an aptitude test to then see, do they qualify for services in middle school now? And that way we're kind of really looking at those kids. Do they need to be accelerated, or do they need to go maybe the honors track? And so we're developing a plan for those students. And they may be GT and accelerated in math and science, but maybe the honors track in social studies and language arts. So we look at that. And what we do, because we accelerate in elementary 5th and 6th grade TEKS, and we do all of the tested 6th grade TEKS by the time they leave 5th grade, they're able to take algebra topics, and here they take a 7th grade STAR. The bulk of the instruction is centered around 7th grade and explorations into 8th grade, because a lot of those 8th grade skills are essentially algebra skills. They'll hit those again in GT Algebra 1. And then in geometry, they take as 8th graders. And then they take Algebra 2, Pre-Cal, AP Calculus AB, and then AP Calculus BC. And most of our kids who get all the way to BC are typically only our GT kids. We do have a few kids who might have started in an honors track who double up their freshman year geometry and algebra 2, and then that helps them get to AP Calculus BC. So just a few of those kids kind of self-select to do that. And then in science, we haven't accelerated science really in elementary, but we do accelerate in middle school. They do 6th and 7th grade and 8th grade, all of those TEKS in 2 years. We even have them take the 8th grade STAR, and then they take biology as 8th graders, and then chemistry, AP physics, AP bio, and we do kind of let kids move around based on their goals. So like we may have some kids who take GT chemistry, but then take AP bio and then AP chem before they take AP physics, depending on if they want to go into medicine or engineering. They might want to get all the physics. So we kind of let them, after their sophomore year, kind of flexibly move those around a little bit. And then for social studies, we're not really accelerated because those TEKS are kind of those TEKS, you know, world cultures, Texas history, along with those grade levels. But because of what we do through humanities and ELAR here, we do a lot of historical perspectives, cultural, social, art, all kinds of things through ancient literature. These kids are building a foundation for all the things that they'll see in AP Human, AP World, in some cases AP US History, because we look at a lot of those documents here in 8th grade, and then AP Lang and AP Lit. They've seen those themes, they've seen those skills, they've written those essays before they leave 8th grade. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. Thank you, Holly.
I see Yolanda was adding stuff for me.
Yeah. All right. So. So if there are, let me get my chat back. Are there any other questions? Concerns? Thank you, Holly, once again for sharing. So as you know, we are today at placement options, and then the next one is March 24th, right before we go to leadership, where we're talking about meeting the GT needs through your curriculum. You have the meeting, the Zoom link, and the meeting idea ID already posted on the website, so these are also listed there. And then we will be talking about progress monitoring, and then at the end of April, we'll be talking about small and rural schools. I have some people already lined up for that. If you would, then we're looking at charter schools, and then the last one is total equitable services, which is May 19th. Then I was thinking, and I don't know, so let me know how you feel about it. One last one at the end of the month, probably at the beginning of June, and it's really just a open conversation, just kind of what's going on out there. If you got questions to kind of think about over the summer, or wonderings as you completed this summer, just having that open venue to have those conversations. So we'll not actually have an agenda or a script, but an opportunity to throw out some just questions, some wonderings, and then thoughts about either summer training, summer activities, or the next school year. Also let me know, I heard you when you said you're looking for more secondary things. for next year, but kind of give me a little bit more specifics on either ideas for PD that you would like to see rolled out from the state level, or topic conversations for upcoming Zooms for GT Tuesdays for next year, or if you like a different format, you'd be like, we don't need a meeting a month, let me know as we move forward. I try to be minimal, but I also want to meet our needs within the state. So kind of give me your ideas and your wonderings as we move forward. And so the next one is, so that ends our time today. If you have questions, once again, here's my email, but I think all of you know how to reach me. And the next one is at 1 p.m. And I want to say thank you, and see nothing in the chat today. So have a great rest of your week. Also, if you're going on spring break, have a safe time. Take no books, no materials home with you. Vacation. Take a break. That's my charge to all of you, my GT people. Take a break. All right. So we see each other again on the 24th. Have a good one. Bye.